Alrighty everybody, this is your friendly neighborhood Titan, and I bring to you the Black Desert Online Beta Episode 6. Alright, so we're continuing on from last episode, I do believe.
Vigorous actions get me worried.
Talking to Crucio about isolating Jordan, or Jordan, whatever his name is. To switching some armor. You can see right here where I have to re-dye everything. One thing I never got is like your pearl items keep showing up when you're trying to go into the dye menu. It's one thing I hope they have fixed before it completely releases for PS4. Going with blue for the rope, of course, red for the cloak. Black for the shoulder cloth, and I usually go white for the middle there. I'm trying to think of, oh, it's probably that little metal dial in the middle is what I'm coloring now. Bronze is usually what I go with because I like the gold and bronze look, you know. Sometimes these things can be a little hard on you. Like you'll be putting some dye in and then accidentally get the wrong thing for the wrong piece. It's actually quite easy, just sometimes you goof up. So if you looked in your inbox during the beta, you got interior decorations that you could use on a house. And I was exploring how, you know, you can have a residence and modify it. Activated auto run and something went wrong there. I didn't have my waypoint set, so I just auto ran into a wall. The reason that my horse has all that stuff on the back of it is because whenever you put stuff in your horse's inventory, it slows down your horse. Like you can't go into the fastest speed possible.
You can entrust your goods without worry, since it's an official trade
And it
zone
shows
approved
that
by the
stuff
head
on
of
the
the
back.
Magic Guild.
So I was trying to put some stuff up for sale on the market. Sadly, you can't do that if the durability is not fully fixed on the item. So I was hoping to help people who were getting into the beta to buy armor for cheaper than what they would have had to pay, but unfortunately, no dice. I do it later, but it takes some time. Just run over here to the storage keeper.
With me. Within your allowed space, of course. Do you
Greedy
want to
dwarf.
extend your storage space? If you buy a house to use for storage, I'll give you some more.
It's a little odd that you have to use a house and then he gives you more storage. So you have to have money already put in your wallet for a warehouse, like you got to put it in your bank, and each bank is different per storage keeper. So if you have money in your warehouse, which is basically a bank, you can send items from one warehouse to the other via a cart or wagon, whichever preference you have for the thing with wheels that you like. So right now I'm going through, I'm checking all the stuff. Lodging was really important to me, so I thought this would be the best. I was wrong. There's an even better building for lodging. It just costs even more than this one as far as contribution points go. So lodging allows you to have more workers, and that's kind of important if you want to run a garden or really any business that kind of it expedites the process of making silver in this game, besides the main quest. So you're gonna need quite a bit of contribution points to, you know, get a garden up. It costs you 10 to get the fence for the garden, so that way you can start planting in the garden to reap rewards from it, basically. And then you're gonna need workers to harvest and or weed the garden. So if you have workers, you know, taking care of the garden for you, it'll save you some time when you go to harvest it. You can choose either to harvest it yourself or let the workers harvest it. But if you harvest it, you have a chance of getting seeds. Workers apparently don't get seeds at all, which kind of stinks. So now I'm checking on the lodgings. I kept believing this would be the one, so I started swinging at it and doing whatever I could to break in. I was looking for something that would gain me access to it. As you can see, there's woodworking benches, mineral benches, all types of crazy stuff. Truthfully, in my opinion, I think this would probably be better off as a residence than anything else. I mean, you have lots of options to make it into something here, but I mean, if you want a good-looking residence, you're gonna need a lot of space. The small, awkwardly shaped ones are very hard to get to look decent. Like, you can't design them well because you're just limited on your space. It's a lot harder. It's a lot more hard to make something look good when you're limited on the space and the ability to place down items in that space. Because the more wonky the shape is, the harder the game makes it on you. Another thing that's slightly irritating is to get certain buildings, you have to buy the buildings connected to them. Which I can kind of understand, but at the same time, it really eats through contribution points. As you can see right here, I'm just looking for any way, shape, or form to get into this building. Because I haven't got into it before. So this is my first attempt. It's like, assuredly, there's got to be something. Never could figure out what that noise was that would activate every time I would get near the door trying to go in. I don't know if it was like a warning or what it may have been. And you can withdraw your contribution points and invest them. Sometimes you have to be directly there and talk to the node manager, which is kind of a pain. But for the most part, it seems that you can definitely withdraw your contributions to them, no matter where you are. And then you use silver to upgrade the properties you own, depending on what they are, and then you can also use silver to switch them up and change their purpose that they're being used for. May it be residency or some type of crop or mushroom production. Yeah, every time I got near this, something would I was really trying hard to break in. So that seems to be like a sound glitch I'm hearing in the background, but what you just saw recently was me opening up your second ring menu that you can actually customize for yourself. So you got your healing potions on top, you can put skills and tools into the various slots that it provides you. The magic lighthouse was one of the biggest mistakes I ever made in this game. I'm sure somebody will be disagreeing because they're a huge fan of it, but for me it was just wasn't as useful as the other spells I could have used. See, Spellbound Heart works like the healing lighthouse, only it gives you magic, so that felt kind of deceptive in a way. I mean, I should have read and realized that that was the purpose of it, but ultimately it still is pretty rough having to deal with that. And then I put up the management for the gardens. So right there, I was just trying to figure out how to set up a garden. So you put down a fence. Unfortunately, it was bugged during the beta, so I wasn't able to access the fence, which is basically just a bunch of planks placed together. Hopefully, if I back away from this door here. Yeah, there we go. See, that noise is connected to the door as a warning or something. I don't know what it is. There it is again. Every time you get close to these doors, dude. I wish I had known during that point, because it's a very subtle noise. And it's off again. So that goes to show anybody that thinks it's my mic, it is definitely not my mic. It is that crap right there. I don't know if that's a glitch or what it is. I don't know if it's deemed purpose. So I kept checking that to see if that was the resident, and come to find out, I see a little thing up there, and I was like, oh, don't tell me. Sure enough, here's my residence. Well, look how easy that was. I felt stupid at this point. But hey, what are you gonna do? We all make mistakes. So, I move forward into trying to activate all this stuff. So, luckily, the beta gave you the opportunity to get a feel for what this was. Crazy thing. Coloring walls and floors is a one-time thing, so you better make certain that the residence you're gonna do that to is a permanent residence. You do not want to be wasting pearls in this game. You don't want to waste real money. It goes without saying, but you know, never hurts to mention it. Kind of like don't point the bazooka backwards. It's always good to mention it. So that's just me putting down a cabinet, and then try to get a small chair. I didn't know which way specifically it should go because I've never seen that chair before. And I've seen chairs that go both ways. This was a really cool love seat that took a bit of effort to get to fit somewhere. Keep in mind this is my first attempt, so it wasn't the best layout for a house, but it was still moderately useful. I got a good feel for how the controls work for placing and stuff like that. And as you can tell, it's a very wonky looking house. Like, it's not square. It is very organically fit to the foundation or however they wanted it. So that's an aquarium. I tried to fit a bed in there, but you know, I was kind of crap out of luck. Of course, that says buy because I didn't own it. It was really hard discerning what you owned and didn't own in this game. Because you would think that there'd be something showing that you own it or don't. But the only real way is if you actually go back and check in your inventory what you have. I don't know if it's the Pearl inventory or what it is, but there's a special spot in the inventory that tells you whether or not that you have this item to place in this mode. Whereas it would be easier if it was just streamlined to say these are the items you own in one tab, and then in the other tab these are all the items we'd like to sell you. Instead of getting hit randomly at the end of a click saying, oh, if you want this, you'll have to buy it. Luckily, in the beta, you didn't have much trouble of being charged. You just ended up giving it a shot. I learned later you can actually walk into that hot spring and sit down. Or the hot tub, and like you can sit down and enjoy yourself. The aquarium was pretty cool. For some reason, I didn't like the fact you couldn't sit down in the chairs. I mean, you probably can, but I never got into a position where I actually got to sit down in the chair. The cabinets didn't open. There was no real, like, storage purposes for them. I just kind of got these weird buffs from, which kind of, it threw me off, I'm not going to lie. Also in this game, you can't forget there is a pet mechanic. If you opened up your gift boxes throughout the beta, there was plenty of an opportunity to get some kind of egg chicken thing. And then there was the hawk, which you see on me currently, and some hippity hoppity battle frog. So here I'm just checking out the random pieces you can use. I don't own any of these, I don't think, but these are pieces that you can place down later on in the future. You can see my little chicken duck thing walking around and somehow escaping the whole house. I think maybe whenever you start placing things down, the game pushes him outside. Who knows, it could be a glitch. So I'm going to put a time jump here.
Alrighty. Off. Well, yeah, there we go. Off we go. Alright, check Heidel real fast. So now I own these buildings that are blinking in blue. trying to decide what to do with the extra space. Because I was really just aiming to get the lodging out of this. I didn't really expect to get all this other stuff along with it, but you have to buy, you know, the full lot to enjoy it. What I thought was really neat is that's actually a siege weapon factory. So, if there's any sieging in the game, which I'm pretty confident there should be, you'll have a factory to work in, which is nuts. So you can have like a group of people who run siege factories for the guild and everything. I mean, Elder Scrolls Online has it. I wouldn't be surprised if this game does too. I also thought this was pretty neat. You could make armor out of a factory. I wasn't sure what kind of workers would be best in a factory compared to the ones you would get for a garden. Because in a garden, you're going to want the giants so they can weed eat and do all the stuff they need to do. And you can choose whether or not if you need the seeds or not by having them collect it or not. It's really up to you how you run it. I had gotten a refining facility because you need black powder, or whatever that refining powder is, and the mushrooms to make a crate. Unfortunately, I never really figured out how to get the black powder. I figured out how to get the mushrooms. You just take a hoe and gather it up, but black powder was a bit of a mystery to me. After all, I mean, in the long run, I ended up putting down a fence and couldn't use it, so I really didn't get to put my plan into fruition because basically the beta, it just glitched and it would refuse to let me use the garden. Because on the computer it's way easy. You walk up to it, you use the action button, and you open it. In this, the beta is incomplete, so hopefully they'll have that fixed whenever it comes out officially. Heidel is a very good place to invest, but Viele has, you know, like a mushroom factory. It has certain things that are of value, but I don't know. Heidel just has so much more to it than the first city, which is Viele. I think your first ever camp is the one you go to for Cliff. That's the first camp you run into. Which, if you don't know who Cliff is, I suggest watching the first episode to get a good idea of the whole conversation I'm making right now. So there's my little humble mushroom factory. And my refinery I was going to use to make the powder so I could make the crates. Still uncertain of how to do that, but because I never really got to enjoy the garden. It's killing me. It really is. I know I've mentioned it like 15 times, but it's rough, man. You go through all of this effort. I even got 2 strong fences, and I couldn't use a single one of them. I got one from Flaviano, and the other one from the guy that's in Calpheon, I think it is, or it's Glish. It's either Glish or Calpheon. I think Glish is the 3rd city you go to, and Glish is it's kind of like Viele. It's more of like one of those stop-off cities that you run through and kind of ignore most of the stuff from. There's also another city that's surrounded by a plantation, basically. It's like the farm plantation or something like that. It has a very special name. I'll go with that. Your best bet is to use the house filter and find the best houses that can rank up to like a level 5. I think it's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That can get it up to a 5-star, because then you're really getting the bang for your buck out of them, because you don't want to be stuck with a property you can't fully enjoy. Like, if you can get a costume factory that can reach 5 stars, get that factory. If you can get a refinery that reaches 5 stars or anything like that, if there's even one in the game, go for that. Because contribution points, although you can accrue a lot of them, I think I never really broke through the ceiling of 100 points. I think I got up to maybe 70, 80, somewhere in between there. Contribution points, and that took a good bit of time. So if you're gonna invest a whole bunch of time into something, I suggest getting the most for what you invest. See here, this is another case of having to own properties on top of properties. So if a property is connected to each other or somehow related in some way, you have to have both of them to access the better one. See, this is a level 4 or 5 armor shop, so I had to buy all the ones connected to it to get the ability of making that armor. So you need iron shards, some hide, and another tool, I think it was. But after a while, you're able to, if you're able to accrue that, you're gonna be a great help to people that are new to the game, because you'll be able to sell your wares for cheaper than that of the store and make a good profit off of it. Whereas whenever the store gets it, it just kind of goes into a dark abyss of oblivion. The silver never really makes it back to the player. Or to you, for that matter. That's the main one. The silver never goes to you. It goes to the game system, and then it just kind of drops into a void. As far as I know, cities are dependent on how many residents live there. So, and that doesn't go to you usually. It'll go to whoever owns that city. I'm thinking it would be the guild that owns the city. Like if a guild castle is somewhere, I'm pretty confident that guild will get the gold and not you. But I could be wrong. Wouldn't be the first time that somebody said something they thought was right and it being accurate. So right now I'm just checking through the higher up buildings. Glish has quite a few actual buildings that are worth investing in. But like I said before, in my opinion, I was never really in Glish that often. And it didn't really feel like there was anything worth dealing with over in Glish. Because most people, they suggest Heidel and Vieli to put down your farms and run your business through them. I think it's because of the temperature and the humidity in the game that you need. Because when you have a garden, your crop output and what you can do with it is affected by the weather and the humidity of the area that you place it in. So just keep that in mind. If you're going to be harvesting your farms, which most people suggest.
I'm sorry to say that there aren't any cooking
This is a
lessons for the
cook
time
that I
being.
couldn't access because I don't know if they were just blotted out for the beta because that feature wasn't ready yet, or what may have happened. I mean, I still had the opportunity to place down an item at a residence and try to cook, but I never really made anything. I don't think I did. At least I don't think I made anything. So yeah, right here what I'm doing, that is your best bet, is to put in your filter and let it do the work for you. Luckily there is a filter. Some games you don't get that lucky. You have to click on each one and find it yourself. This, you get to look up. But anyways, don't forget to like and subscribe, and there are links down in the description. They will most likely be the next episode and PSN cards, since this is a digital game. And I really do appreciate you who use those links, because it goes a way to help the channel and those that subscribe. It has been my pleasure, and I wish you best of luck. Bye!